Welcome to the video training, 5 traps that make you fat and how to avoid them. And a note about the title. Some people think that, oh, well, that's just superficial. Why would I want to, care so much about avoiding fat or being a little bit fat? And the truth is that fat, especially for men, causes health havoc, right? It's a health risk. In fact, the fat that surrounds your organs, the visceral fat, the fat that makes your belly bigger, actually increases your likelihood for getting diseases like heart disease and increases your chances of death. It's terrible stuff. We need some fat on our body, but most of us have way too much because of our sedentary lifestyle, because of our poor nutrition choices. And that's what we're going to get in today. 5 mistakes that you can avoid. And we'll also get into things you should do as well. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And let me ask you this. Do you wish you could eat better and perhaps work a little bit less, or perhaps work less at eating better? And perhaps you have a partner who loves to cook and they love baking things and making spaghetti and cooking all this great food, and you can't help overeating when it's put in front of you. And you're getting older and perhaps gaining weight every year. Too many of us fall into this trap, and you got to do something about it. Perhaps you got injured with exercise and used to be in great shape, but now you don't know how to work around the injury, because every time you push yourself in the gym, it starts to act up and get inflamed and cause you to limp around, or cause you to have a hard time lifting your arm because your shoulder's so achy, right? And you want to make health a priority, but you don't know where to start, or if you can really stick with new eating habits because you're busy. And I understand. And that's what we're going to get into in this training, because it's more simple than you think to get your nutrition handled. No fad diets needed, no crash diets needed, no complicated diets needed, no calorie tracking or macro counting needed either. We're just going to focus on the basics. And if you don't know my story, my name is Ted Rice. I'm the host of the Legendary Life podcast, but I've been a health and fitness professional for the past 17 years in Miami Beach, Florida. I've worked with guys like Richard Branson, Robert Downey Jr., Ricky Martin. Most of my current clients are busy people. They're CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies, guys who have a lot of temptation during business meetings, and they have a lot of business meetings. So I understand what struggles you're going through, okay? And I work with normal people as well, everyday people. And what I'm trying to tell you from this is that I've been in the trenches doing this for 17 years. I'm not some internet marketer guy. Another thing I want to tell you is that I've had to be a nutrition agnostic to deal with my clients. I couldn't just say, hey, no, everybody's got to eat paleo, or everybody's got to eat low carb, or everybody's got to eat Pritikin, or the Dean Ornish diet, or whatever diet. I had to figure out the basics to give to people, to get them to start on the basics first and then work from there. And that's what we're going to get into, because you don't need any of the fancier stuff if you don't have the basics handled. And the basics will get you so far if you follow them. And if you want more information, you can listen to my top-ranked podcast, Legendary Life. We go into a ton of stuff about health and fitness, nutrition, anti-aging. We also cover things like confidence, communication, and productivity, and personal growth, and great stories of overcoming difficult odds, of achieving the type of success that you want. So it's really a passion project. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. And you're here because you want to stop your bad eating habits, but you don't know how to do it or where to start. And it's so confusing when you see all the different information. I see right now on Facebook, people are pushing the ketogenic diet. Oh, you got to do the ketogenic diet. And other people say you don't need to go into ketosis. You can just eat a moderate amount of carbohydrates and be fine. In fact, if you don't eat carbs, then you're going to have a harder time pushing yourself in the gym. And then some people say, you guys are all wrong. You've got to just, you just got to eat like a caveman. You got to focus on food quality and you're going to be fine. Well, understandably so. It's understandable that so many people are confused about nutrition because of all the conflicting advice and suggestions and experts. So we're going to go into what makes everyone successful, okay? The basics. And we're going to go from there. And let's get into it. 5 traps that make you fat. Number 1 is you work hard. And as you work hard, you actually use a lot of energy. Your brain uses a lot of energy every day and you start to get hungry. However, it also puts us in a state where we don't make the best decisions as we get more stressed. So you work hard and you haven't spent time developing systems or carrying smart snacks like beef jerky and trail mix. And when you have a chance to eat, you're just, you gobble whatever's around in the cafeteria, whatever's convenient, or perhaps whatever's in the vending machine. And then you go back to working. So don't neglect your health. We know that your health and your performance and your productivity are intimately linked. So don't let this be an excuse for you. Another thing is that when we get into a relationship with someone and they don't have the same eating habits as you do, same healthy eating habits as you do, they're going to pull you into their world a little bit. And that's happened to me. And it'll happen to you too. Or perhaps it's already happened to you, or perhaps both of you have bad eating habits. So who we surround ourselves with is so important. And who you live with or who you're married to, that's important. So it's so critical that you get people involved. You get your loved one, your partner, your husband, your wife involved with eating better. You can tell them, hey, listen, I'm only going to eat sweets on the weekends now, or I'm only going to, have one day where I have a cheat meal, and have them support you. Make sure you support each other. Get your partner involved. Another thing, so many people think, oh, well, I'm good during the week, but I go crazy on the weekends. Or I'm good up until vacation, but if I'm on vacation or it's the holidays, I just go nuts. The thing is, you can overdo it very easily, especially if you're drinking alcohol, especially if you have a lot of food available to you and you're just sort of mindlessly or hedonically eating. It's called hedonic eating, where you're just eating for pleasure, You don't need the calories because you've already eaten your stuff, but you just keep eating anyway. You can overdo it very easily, and you want to limit the amount of times you do that, because it's easy to put on 7 pounds, 10 pounds, 8 pounds, 5 pounds over a weekend, okay, or a 5-day vacation. Okay, it's easy to do if you're out of control in eating. So don't overdo it. Here's the thing. Men in general gain about 1 pound a year from the age 25 to 60, suggests some research done at Duke University. So by the time you hit 50, you could be carrying an extra 30 pounds along with your mortgage, right? That's not what you want to do. And so many people blame it on age. And there is a component of getting older, but it's mostly your lifestyle. If you're not exercising, if you're not doing strength training, if you're not doing aerobic exercise, and if you're abandoning your healthier eating habits, or perhaps you've never had healthier eating habits, you're just going to start piling on the pounds. It's not because you're getting older, it's because you are, like I said in the exercise video, if you haven't seen that training, you should. You're detraining, you're losing muscle mass, and you're getting fatter. And that's going to totally mess up your health the longer you do that. Another thing is, so many people get injured with their exercise programs. And again, if you haven't seen the exercise video training, I talk about how to prevent injuries in there, how to structure your workout so you can prevent injuries. But so many people get injured, and that's what keeps them out of the gym. And here's the thing, so many people say, oh, it's 80% nutrition or 90% nutrition. And I want to tell you, that's 100% bullshit. It's a combination of what you're doing in the gym and what you're doing out of the gym that makes people maintain a healthy weight or look like they have a muscular body. It's a combination of what you do, the types of exercises that you do, the intensity of the exercise that you do, the frequency, the volume of the exercise that you do, and what your eating habits are like. So let's get into things that, how you can avoid them, how you can make better decisions, how you can get this area handled for yourself. And the first thing I want to talk about is eat whole and minimally processed foods. And I want you to do this 90% of the time. And I say minimally processed because, you didn't catch that chicken and pluck it and, prepare it. You didn't do that. So I just wanted you to keep in mind, minimally processed foods are okay. Just to we all say, oh, avoid processed foods, but some of the food processing actually makes things easier for us. Like what I said, you don't have to kill the chicken and pluck the leaves off. What am I thinking? Pluck the feathers off and cut it into pieces. It's already been done for you. So eat whole and minimally processed foods. And do this most of the time, 90% of the time. What are whole and minimally processed foods? Look at this picture. Let me tell you something. If you just ate food off of this picture, the fish, the eggs, the chicken, the beef, the green vegetables, the leafy green vegetables, the avocado, the fruit, the nuts, you wouldn't have a problem. You throw in some strength training 3 times a week and some aerobic training 2 or 3 times a week, you're not going to have a problem. You're going to look pretty good. You may even be able to see your abs just with that. It's very hard to overeat the things that you see right here. And by the way, I don't want to say that these are the things that we're designed to eat, because I think that there are more nuances there. But I will tell you this. If you just ate off of here and you got rid of the pasta, the bread, all the calorie-rich foods, you would be most likely where you want to be, and you would look the way that you would want to look, and you wouldn't have a problem where you're gaining so much weight. It's the chips, it's the desserts, it's the other things that we overeat, because you can even eat a little bit of that stuff, but we overeat that stuff. And if we just followed this right here, you'd probably be fine. This one tip, but I'm going to give you more, of course. And the second thing I want to talk about is eat protein at every meal. What I tell my clients is the first thing you should ask yourself is, what protein are you going to have, right? And what are some examples of protein? You should know this, but just to go over it a bit, cottage cheese, yogurt, milk is there if you can tolerate milk. I don't personally drink milk, although I eat cheese. Parmesan cheese, mozzarella is a good source of cheese, very high in protein, low in fat. Beef, chicken, fish, eggs. I think I already said some of those things. It's pretty straightforward. Wild game, venison, seafood, like shrimp, like cuttlefish. Those are all forms of protein. And again, what I tell my clients is you need protein to maintain your muscle mass. And if you eat a low protein diet, you are going to be losing muscle simply because you're not eating enough to maintain it. So important. And that's also critical if you want to burn fat, because you don't want to lose weight. You want to lose fat, because if you lose muscle, this number on the scale will go down, but so will your metabolic rate. So will your strength. You'll feel weak and lighter. And that's not what you're trying to do, is it? You want to feel better. You want to get this area handled. You want to feel energetic. You want to be strong. You want to look the way you want as well. So here's what you should do. Ask yourself, for every meal, what protein am I having? Where's the protein in this meal? This will do two things. Number one, it will make you more conscious, more aware of what you do with your meals. And two, it'll make sure that you're getting enough protein in, because this is critical. Whether you want to lose fat, whether you want to build muscle, whether you just want to maintain a healthy weight, be a healthy person, this is critical. Always ask yourself, what protein am I having when you're about to eat a meal? And here's some bonus. Now, if you want to get into, I'm not a big fan of this, and I don't do this personally, but if you want to track some things, if you're using MyFitnessPal, or if you track your macros, whatever it is, for building muscle, eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. So I weigh about 204 pounds now, so I should be shooting for about 204 grams of protein per day. Now, I may never get that, but that's what I should shoot for. And here's why this is important. Because if you do track things, like I've had some of my clients do, because they were into it, they used the MyFitnessPal, I found that they were severely under eating protein. Severely under eating protein. And a lot of people think that ketogenic diets or low carb diets, the real benefit is because of eating more protein, right? In fact, that's some of the issues with some of the low carb research, is that they haven't standardized the protein intake. And so they're not sure if it was because it was low carb or if it was higher protein than some of the other diets out there. And for burning fat, you want to eat 1 gram per pound of ideal weight. So what does that mean? Let's say I'm 204 pounds and I want to be 195. I want to lose those 9 pounds. So I would eat 195 grams of protein per day. That's what you want to shoot for. Okay. And again, so important, protein. Another little tidbit before we go on is that it takes more calories to digest protein than it does carbs or fat. Yes, even digestion costs calories, right? Because it's in action. It's like your car burning gas to run. You burn gas to run too. It's called, digestion. And that digestion costs energy to do. And protein, although it's a bit modest, but it costs more energy to digest protein than carbs or fat. So that's another reason why it's super important. So moving on, let's move on to number 3, eat superfood vegetables daily. This is so important. And I want to tell you something. Here's an example of what superfoods are, by the way. And we'll get into more specifics, but look at how those beet greens, look at how leafy and green the vegetables are here. The broccoli, the chard, I don't know if kale's on here or not. I don't think kale's on here, but kale, those are all examples. Okay, the carrots aren't really a superfood, and we'll go into what superfoods mean in a second, and also I'll give you a list of the best superfoods according to science in a bit. So this is what superfood means, nutrient dense. But if I said, hey, eat nutrient dense foods, it sounds too sciencey. You're not gonna like it as much. If I say, hey, these are superfoods, the thing is, you got to watch out, because some people throw around the superfood name and they don't have evidence to back it up. They're just saying it's a superfood because they want to say it. So you got to have evidence. You got to have some sort of thing that says, okay, well, this is better than some of these other foods. Well, why is that? So we're going to get into that in a bit. But let's get into what a nutrient-dense food is so you understand, okay? And a nutrient-dense food is a food that has a high amount of nutrition and a low amount of calories, okay? So we've already named some examples of nutrient-dense foods. So what are some examples of not so nutrient-dense foods or not so superfoods? Well, white flour would be an example. It has or sugar is a great example. Why? Because it has a lot of calories and very low nutrition. So for all that energy that you get, you don't get a lot of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, polyphenols, all those great things that you get from nutrient-dense foods. So let's get into the list of the best superfoods. And in fact, the CDC did research on this and found the 41 best superfoods according to what we know now. And they called them powerhouse foods instead of superfoods. So what are they? Here they go. Here you go. Okay, this is a screenshot of the research. Okay, and what they found is these 41 vegetables and fruits, there are a couple of fruits on here, although it's mostly vegetables, contain more nutrition for the calories that they deliver than other vegetables and fruits. And look at what's number one: watercress. 2 is Chinese cabbage. 3 is chard, beet greens, spinach, chicory, leaf lettuce, parsley, romaine lettuce, collard greens, turnip greens, mustard greens, endive, chive. Kale is number 15, by the way. And this is a great example of what I was talking about earlier. Kale is, if you look on Instagram for the hashtag kale, you'll find 2 million posts about kale. But you look for watercress, you'll find 60,000. For Chinese cabbage, you'll probably find like 10,000. I actually did a blog post on this, and I took screenshots of the numbers of posts that people were making. And kale is like very popular, you would say. But Chinese cabbage kicks kale's ass when it comes to nutrition because it has more of the 17 vitamins and minerals that are proven to prevent disease than kale, calorie per calorie. So that's really important for you. Keep that in mind when you go shopping. And I want you to take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot, pause it, and use this to start making better decisions. And look for I'm not telling you to stop eating kale, by the way. Go for the first 15 vegetables on there and start including those in your daily diet, and you will be a healthier person. This is something that I wish I knew 8 years ago, when I thought I was eating healthy because I was eating good quality foods, but I wasn't getting the nutrition that I needed. And it was because of things like this. I didn't know this. And this is relatively recent research too, from 2014. So you're welcome. Go do it. So again, there's a picture of watercress in case you've never had it. Watercress, by the way, here's a tip. Watercress goes great in a salad with maybe strawberries and perhaps some walnuts and some type of vinaigrette dressing. If you just did that, you could eat a watercress salad. It would taste pretty good. Watercress has a very strong flavor, but it's got a ton of nutrition in it. Okay, and the Chinese actually have used watercress for a long time. And there's like a story about how watercress soup like nursed a person who was very sick back to health from one of these Chinese cookbooks that I read. And it was way before, like, it was one of my dad's cookbooks. It was way before like the health and fitness inundation of information that we have now. So next time you go to the supermarket, pick at least 3 different superfood vegetables and include them in your next meals to reap all the benefits. So if you're using kale for something, fine, keep using kale, but get broccoli. Try one of the other vegetables as well, the chives. Get the Chinese cabbage was number 2. Get number 1 and number 2, watercress and Chinese cabbage. Use it in a stir fry. That's what I love to do. That's how I eat this stuff. I use salads for watercress, Chinese cabbage for stir fry. And Chinese cabbage, by the way, is either going to be bok choy or Napa cabbage. So make sure you start to use those, fry it up with some ground beef, put a little soy sauce and garlic to season it, and there you go. You got a simple meal that is packed with nutrition and protein, right? Because I said ground beef or steak, by the way, sirloin steak, because what's the first thing you should ask? What protein am I going to have, right? We already covered that. So let's move it along. And the next thing I want to talk about is eat healthy fats daily. Fat is so important. Helps us make hormones like testosterone. It helps make up our cell membranes. We're composed of cells, and the covering of the cell membrane, has fats in it. Our brain has fats in it. Our nervous system. Healthy fats are important for all that and more. So there is some research that shows low-fat diets can lead to low testosterone because of the importance of fats in creating these sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, etc. So make sure you're eating enough healthy fats. And if you're eating things like Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds, they're loaded in zinc. They're loaded in other important nutrients that will boost your health. And I would consider a Brazil nut superfood because it has so much selenium in it and it has so much zinc in it. So those are important things. And magnesium from pumpkin seeds and almonds. Make sure you get enough healthy fat. Have nut butters, seeds. We'll get into that more in a second. And in the examples, so I'm a little ahead of myself here. But another example is avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. Make sure you're using coconut oil to cook with, grapeseed oil to cook with. Make sure you're putting olive oil on your salads, extra virgin olive oil, because something you should know is that a lot of olive oil is fake olive oil or it's old rancid olive oil. So there's a huge issue with that in the olive oil industry. Make sure that you look and learn. By the way, I have an episode about that on my podcast, but make sure you learn how to look for good quality olive oil and make sure you're not getting the cheap stuff. Otherwise, you're getting probably corn oil or canola oil or something. So make sure you're getting good quality olive oil. And let's move it along. So there's some pictures: olives, olive oil, coconut, shredded coconut, avocado. Again, nuts and seeds like Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts. Those are all great sources of healthy fats. You want to make sure that you eat some fat daily so you get those fat-soluble vitamins, so that you get those minerals, and so that you have enough fat to make your hormones and to make your cell membranes and to make your nerves and brain function properly. So next time you go to the supermarket, pick at least 3 different, it shouldn't say superfood vegetables. Sorry about that. It should say pick some healthy fats and include them in your meals. Make sure you get that extra virgin olive oil. Make sure you get some nuts, some seeds, and include them in your meals. Next one, step 5, earn your carbohydrates. So really important, because low carb is all the rage right now, right? Eat low carb. You definitely need to eat low carb. And before we go on, I want to give some examples of what I'm talking about, because I'm not just talking about any carbohydrates. Because something you should know is that all the vegetables, including the superfood vegetables, have carbohydrates in them. However, they're low in carbs. What I'm talking about here is your breads, your pastas, your pizza crust, your what else? Crackers, your cereals, those types of things. Your oatmeal, your grains, your corn, your things like that. Those are examples of carbohydrates. And here's a picture: pasta, bread, potatoes, forgot to mention that, rice, forgot to mention that as well. So these are all examples of carbohydrates. Now, carbs aren't evil. I want to get that through to you right now. Carbs aren't evil. Carbs aren't the enemy. It's us. It's our behavior that is the enemy. And what we do is that we work out. We don't work out enough, and then we overeat carbohydrates. And what does that lead to? Insulin resistance, okay? It leads to your pre-diabetes or full-blown diabetes, right? Full-blown type 2 diabetes, because type 1 is for people who were born with it. But we're talking about type 2 here, the people who give it to themselves. Why? Now, how do you know if you're insulin resistant? Well, you could go to the doctor and check out your fasting glucose or your hemoglobin A1C or your fasting insulin. That's for your doctor to give you the diagnosis. He'll tell you if you're pre-diabetic, full-blown diabetic, or on the edge. But if you're a few years behind your workouts, or if you work out every once in a while and then take 5 months off and then work out for a week, then take another 5 months off, probably safe to say, and you've got some fat to lose, especially around your midsection, probably safe to say that you're a little insulin resistant. So here is what I want you to do. Only eat starchy carbohydrates after your strength training workout. This is for most people. Now, if you're a full-blown athlete and you're training a bunch of times a day and competing in endurance events and that type of thing, this isn't for you. You probably need some carbohydrates, although some people argue against that, and we're not going to get into it here. I'm talking about the busy person like me. You're not a pro athlete. I'm not a pro athlete. Are you competing in an Ironman anytime soon? Are you competing in, some type of crazy event and you do that regularly? Well, this is for you then. Only eat your starchy carbohydrates after your strength training workout, or at least on your strength training workout day. If you've got a lot of fat to lose and you're way behind on your workouts, avoid them altogether. Now, here's the thing. I want to keep this in mind. I want to be real with you. I'm not talking about 100% of the time, because let's face it, we live in this world where we're surrounded by temptation. Your partner may not be on board with only eating starchy carbohydrates after their strength training workout, and they may not strength train, and they may not be on board with avoiding them altogether. But here's the thing. This is what you want to shoot for. This is what you want to do. And if you're not going to do this, then no diet will save you, okay? The thing about diets is that they give us a framework to follow. And I'm giving you a more realistic framework to follow, and we don't even need to call it a diet, okay? So again, this is what you want to shoot for. Now, what I recommend is that you don't buy the starchy carbohydrates. If you've got a lot of fat to lose, don't buy them and have them at home. What you do is when you want a treat, you go out and get it. You go out for that bowl of pasta or plate of pasta or key lime pie or cheesecake or whatever, the souffle, chocolate souffle, whatever it is. Go out and eat it, and that's when you have your goodies, okay? Or go buy a small thing of ice cream and eat it, then move on. Don't store it at your house. Don't have it in your house. And that way, this will help you. This will help you to prevent overeating the starchy carbohydrates. So measure your progress. Be honest with yourself. And most of us aren't honest with ourselves. We blame it on the government is poisoning us. The food marketers, there's some issues with how certain, like the grain industry and the dairy industry and the government with the MyPlate, and dairy has a whole entire food group to itself and grains. Come on, it's ridiculous. However, it's up to us to manage our behavior. It's not about what they're doing. They're making the environment harder for sure by offering, the fast food, the convenience foods, the vending machine in your office, the crappy choices for the poor choices that you're offered at work and around work. But it's up to you to take control of your behavior. I'm a big believer in taking control, right? We control ourselves. We set ourselves up for success. And make sure you measure it. Don't blame it on other people. It's your responsibility. And to keep you honest, make sure you use the scale. I'm fairly lean. I can see my abs, right? Not like I could 10 years ago, but I can see my abs. And I have some injuries that I'm working through, the 3 herniated discs in my neck that don't allow me to push myself like I was able to, right? But I still work out. I still do this stuff, and I weigh myself. And like I said, I can see my abs, but I still use the scale because it's pretty accurate. So if you're at the point where you're you can't see your abs, or you can just see your abs a little bit, you can still use the scale. Another thing you want to use the scale with a measuring tape around your waist to keep track of your circumference, your waist circumference. And measurements keep us objective and honest, and keeps us like, oh, maybe, you know, I'm on the paleo diet, but I'm not losing weight. Well, then it's not working for you. I'm on this diet, but I'm not losing weight. Well, it's not working for you. Perhaps you need to exercise more. Perhaps you need to tighten up your diet a bit more. Perhaps you're overeating, even though you're eating good quality food. So that's why I want you to do this. And like I said earlier, use a scale and a tape measure. If the scale is going down and you use a tape measure around your waist and it's going down, then you're heading in the right direction. Another thing I want to tell you, though, I had a client that this happened to. He actually stopped working out with me, although I've been training his wife and his kids. And his weight went down, but his waist circumference went up. So he's gotten fatter around the midsection, even though his weight went down. That is not what you want. And that's why I tell you that the scale doesn't tell you the whole picture. So use the tape measure around your waist to tell you if you're going in the right direction or not. And if you want to do it high tech, use a DEXA scan. It'll tell you exactly what's going on. Of course, it'll run you $100, but it will tell you exactly what's going on. But keep measurements, whether you go low tech, whether you go high tech. For me, I keep it low tech because although I do want to get regular DEXA scans in the future, but keep it low tech. It tells you everything that you need to know, but keep measurements of yourself. And if you're overwhelmed right now, I understand. I've given you a lot of information. I understand how it can be a big ordeal to get your health handled, to get your nutrition habits handled. And that's why I have my online coaching platform, right? That's why I have my online coaching group. That's why I work with people one-on-one. So you have three choices. You could quit altogether, but you didn't just watch this video so you could quit. That's not why you're here. That's not why you watched until this point. Two, you could continue to go it alone, hoping to get better results. And if you do follow everything that I put here, you will get better results. No diet needed, no other blog posts or videos needed. If you just do this, you will get better results. But there's also a third option. You can let an expert help you get better results by using proven strategies. And that's, like I said, that's why I have put together my online coaching, and we're getting great results with the people who are in it. This is Adrian, who's been following the workouts and following the meal plans. And what I tell you is your goal is to do the workouts and to log in your basics on the app. We give you a meal plan and we do a nutrition training, but really it's about the basics. And it's about what I've already covered, and it's about, you know, just that. And if you do 70% or 80% of what I have you do, you will get results with this. So what's your time worth? Because expert advice will save you time and money. So what is it worth? How many more YouTube videos do you want to watch? Do you really want to watch another video? Do you really want to read another blog post about this? Or do you want an expert to help save you time and money and coach you to the success that you deserve? So here's the next thing that I want you to do. I want you to go and download the nutrition guide that we have for you below. Download it, follow it, and if you just do what's in this video and what's in the nutrition guide below, you don't need anything else, okay? You don't need anything else. You don't need to read the next book. You just need to follow these basics. So that's what I want to leave you with. Also, I'll see you in the next video training, 5 nighttime habits that are killing you and your career. And most importantly, how to fix it. We're going to dive into sleep. We're going to dive in how to optimize sleep, the importance of sleep, and to get you having better nighttime habits so that you wake up feeling refreshed, full of energy, without having to hit the snooze button 3 times or drink a pot of coffee or wait in line at Starbucks. Actually, we don't even need to wait in line anymore, right? Just do the Starbucks app. But you don't want to be that person, because those habits, those are the ones that are going to set you back. They're going to kill your productivity and make you fat, and there's no need for that. So see you in the next video training. Make sure you download the nutrition guide. And if you haven't seen the exercise video yet, make sure you check that as well. Have a good one and talk to you soon.